Alright guys, it is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021 at 9:18 p.m. Alright guys, let's take a look at the weather. We have a GFS model. Let's run it and see what we see. Alright. So, the 11th and 12th, I had done a video previously about there possibly being something, but the GFS models now are not showing anything around the 11th or 12th. That is good. That is the important thing about GFS models, or any models, is that they're not set in stone. They forecast something that could possibly happen, not actually what is going to happen. It just gives you a heads up to keep an eye out on the weather. Alright guys, so nothing seems to be happening on the GFS around the 11th or 12th. Let's continue on. Alright, so something keeps building up here below South America, below Mexico, on the 16th, that's what I'm seeing. Let's take a look more forward. There's something building around the 17th, June 17th, in the Gulf here. A low of 997 around June 19th, getting close to the Texas coast here in the forecast model. And it approaching Louisiana and Texas on June 20th. 992 low. Let's see if we can zoom in here so you guys can get a clearer picture. Alright, look at that. So on 992 low, getting close to Texas and Louisiana on the 20th. Alright, June 20th. That's what the forecast models are showing. 990 over Louisiana, then 995 as it gets over Mississippi, then 900 now back to 1002 as it gets over Tennessee, and then 1006 as it gets over Virginia, and then it goes out to sea. Then on the 24th, a low of 1008 between Cuba and the South American Honduras area, and then it resets. Alright, so that's what I see in the forecast models. Let's take a look quickly here. This is what's happening right now over the Yucatan Peninsula and over Mexico, and the rainstorms happening over the south, over Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. There's some rain clouds, and then some storms over northeast, over Massachusetts and New England. Alright, let's take a look at the Gulf. This is what's happening in the Gulf right now. We got some storms in the Yucatan Peninsula and parts of Mexico, and then some storms over in Georgia and parts of Florida kind of bubbling up slowly right there. Sorry for the constant resetting of the rebuffering of the website, but a lot of people keep looking at the website, so it kind of resets a lot. Alright, but there's a lot of rains happening over Florida. Not that much, but it's more happening over Georgia and the south. Alright, let's take a look at Africa. Here are the storms that are happening across the African continent, or the Western African continent. They're just storms bubbling up. This is an example of what happens during hurricane season. We get some storms happening off the coast of Africa, and then they go onto the Atlantic, and then they travel across the Atlantic, and then they affect the United States, either the Caribbean or the mainland. So right now none of these storms are doing that. They're just hanging on in Africa, but this is where the storms are born, sort of. They're sort of created here on the African continent. Alright, so nothing heading off of Africa right now, but they are bubbling and storming in Africa. Alright, this is Hawaii right here. and these are the just rain storms passing below it. Nothing affecting it right now. Alright, next. The Ring of Fire solar eclipse of 2021 will look like the Death Star in front of the sun, astronomers say. So heads up, we are going to be getting the solar eclipse that will happen on Thursday, June 10th. It is going to be quite interesting because people tend to act different when there's lunar eclipses, when there's solar eclipses, when there's full moons. People act different. It gets a little bit more chaotic out there. There's weather goes crazy, so it's best to pray for each other and keep an eye on each other during these times that happen. All right. Next, from the National Hurricane Center, we got Central Pacific Hurricane Center. We have this disturbance here of 20% chance of cyclone formation in 5 days. A broad through a low pressure is expected to develop over the southwestern Caribbean Sea during the next couple of days. Some gradual development is possible thereafter, while the system moves slowly northwestward towards Central America. Regardless of development, this system could produce heavy rainfall across northern Colombia and portions of Central America from Honduras southward later this week and into the weekend. See products from your local meteorological service for more information. Information chance through 48 hours, low near 0%. Information chance through 5 days, low at 20%. So it's been going back and forth, 20 and 30% that I've been hearing in the news. This disturbance, it's a low chance, but it's something to keep an eye on when we take a look at weather, because these kind of storms kind of hop into the Atlantic and then into the Gulf. They tend to do the swoop in. They develop, usually the storms develop from Africa and they go across the Atlantic, but that is not the time we're at yet. Right now we're more in the time of storms developing from either the Gulf down here, below Mexico and below South America, or storms developing from this area in the Gulf and hopping on either onto the Gulf and then affecting either Texas, Louisiana, all these regions over here. So that's the time we're at right now. Right now we're in the time of storms developing here in South America and then hopping on to possibly affecting the Gulf. Let's take a look at what we have. An area being monitored, slight chance of development late in the week. That's the area of the Gulf we're keeping an eye on right now. Here is what it looks like. The tropical update area. Some storms popping throughout the South American continent. This is the region where storms could bubble up and head to the Gulf. And let's take a look at the temperatures of the Gulf. We have 81, 82, 83 degrees below Cuba, where storms could possibly develop, which is rocket fuel basically for storms. Warmer waters will be fuel for storms, and the warmer waters is basically a breeding ground for storms. When the planet cools or changes temperature, the waters, a hurricane comes and basically cools the area. It will pull up the warm temperature as fuel, and it will basically cool the area after a hurricane. But it uses this water, the type of water that's 83, 82 degrees in warmth, as fuel. So if you ever see a hurricane and you look at the temperatures before and afterwards, before it's really warm, after a hurricane comes through, it basically is a cooling technique. The planet kind of regulates itself. It's cooler, the waters are cooler after a hurricane than beforehand. But let's take a look here. We have the Gulf from Mexico, 82 degrees, and towards Texas, 80 degrees, 81 degrees around the Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana area, and then 79 degrees closer to the Panhandle, and 81 to 82 degrees closer to the Keys, and then cooler out in the Atlantic, 76, 78, 72 degrees out there in the Atlantic, and 81 over the Bahamas. But this is basically a setup for possibility of storm development. The warmer the water, the more storms come. Here we go. Highly favorable, unfavorable, favorable, and highly favorable. We have the Gulf region right below Cuba as highly favorable for the possibility of tropical intensity. So, see below Mexico, this area where storms develop in the Pacific and they head out to the Pacific and Hawaii. And then we have here the storms that develop, or the water that warms up and it possibly develops storms that head either to the Gulf or to other parts of the Caribbean. So we have highly favorable water warming up. We're getting all the ingredients together to possibly there be a storm. So these are the information that we need to see to make sure we know what's happening. It says ocean heat content 6/8/2021. The warmer temperatures, the higher temperatures here, below Cuba and around the Honduras and South America region right there. Alright, let's take a look. This is again the tropical storms happening in, not tropical storms, this tropical update happening, the storms, the rain clouds happening around the South America region building up. Alright, and this is the temperature right now for today, for June 8th, for the United States. We have Texas with 93, 96, 85 in the southern parts of Texas, 89. We got Louisiana with 86, 79. Florida with 81, 83, 84, 81 in the Miami region. California with 52, 65, 77 in the southern region. Oregon, 65. Montana, 61. Look how warm it is by the Great Lakes. That is so warm. 91 degrees, 90 by the Great Lakes here. By Michigan, 81, 78. This whole area right here by the Great Lakes is very warm. Alright, we got 82 by North Carolina, 79 in South Carolina, 77 in Georgia. We got 80 in Massachusetts, 73 and 72 in upstate New York. We got Vermont, and we have Maine, 80 degrees and 82 degrees. So it is a rather warm day today. Alright. Let's take a look finally here at my channel. We have on Space River News on Twitter. I always leave a link to my videos. I know this is a long video, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of what's happening in the Atlantic and the temperature and of the water and all the things that are prepping up for a possibility of something in the Gulf. We have to keep an eye on it. It says from Evan WX, notable agreement on the European and GFS models here. Both models indicate a western Gulf track around June 15th through the 20th, as I was showing you with the GFS models. Pressure forecasted to be 985 millibars to 990 millibars as it nears landfall to the Texas-Louisiana coastlines sometime around 7 to 10 days. Hurricane season. Let's take a look at these images. 989 millibars right here by Texas and Louisiana on June 20th. That's from the GFS. And then the ECMWF, 985 millibars by Texas, the low, and Louisiana. So that's what I'm showing as well. Something possibly happening around the 20th. Let's take a look again. 20th, 19, you see something building here in Texas. And then the 20th, something possibly getting closer to Texas. This is not set in stone. This is just what could possibly happen. These are just forecast models. This means that it could possibly happen. That's what the models are showing. It doesn't mean that it's set in stone, that it's actually going to happen. This is why these channels that share the weather and news are here for. They're basically letting you guys know there's a heads up. Keep your eyes on the weather around these dates. You know, if you have important things to do either outside, you know, it's better to get prepared around the 20th. Between the 17th and the 21st, it's best to keep your on your mind. You know, around the Gulf, there could possibly something be happening. So if you live in these areas, it's best to be prepared. It is hurricane season. June 1st has already come, and it's the best time to get prepared for hurricane season. Get your candles, get your canned goods, get extra bottles of water, make sure you have food for your pets, make sure you check on your neighbors, make sure you have all the things you need that you would usually prepare every year for hurricane season. Alright, guys, hit like and subscribe for more news, and see you guys next time. Glad I could give you this forecast and update so you guys could have in the back of your mind what's happening in the Atlantic and the Gulf. Alright, guys, see you next time. God bless you guys.